Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final forum to this evening, where we will hear from the final candidate, Elaine Ferris, who is currently the Clark County Superintendent. We thank her for her time. We know you've had a very busy schedule today, so we'll just give you a couple of minutes as we start for you to talk about your experience today, what you've learned, and why you want the job of Fayette County Superintendent.
First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to come and dialogue with the community today. It has been a very insightful experience for me. I have truly enjoyed the time that I have spent with the focus groups that have been put together by this board. And I have been very pleased and I feel like I have been very well received with all of the groups. I have found out that where their passions are and what is important to them. And one of the resounding questions that I had to laugh about, of course, was about the snow days. I had to say that to rib stew a little bit. But I understand the importance of education to this community. And I feel like that I can continue with the value that this community has with education. And that's why I want to come and help to lead this district to the next level.
We have received a lot of questions, and we've asked the same ones, and so we're going to ask you those tonight from 150-something questions that we have, and we've distilled those down to just a few. The public school system is an integral part of the community, and it's essential that the school leadership work closely with local groups on issues that affect both students and the public good. Please elaborate on your commitment to working with local businesses, community, nonprofit, and faith leaders, and truly embracing the school system as a part of the greater Lexington community.
I understand that great communities have great school systems, and great school systems are in great communities. So it's going to be very important that we coordinate our services, that we collaborate so that we can implement the best school educational system that we can for the students in the community here in Lexington, Kentucky. It is very important that we understand that the excellence that we want for this school district cannot be achieved by this board or by this school district alone. That it's going to take all of us working together. It's going to take the community leaders. It's going to take faith-based organizations and churches. It's going to take community leaders. It's going to take advocacy groups. It's going to take the Literacy Council. It's going to take Arts Council. It's going to take all of us to ensure that we can provide a well-rounded, holistic educational system for this community. And the thing that we have to understand as we are moving into the 21st century is that we cannot do the job that our community expects us to do in silo. It's got to be a collaborative community effort, and it's got to be the expectation for all of us to provide every student in this school district with a world-class education.
Parental involvement is an essential component of increased achievement for students. And does your current school district have a family and community involvement policy? And if yes, would you briefly describe it and the roles and responsibilities of both the school administrator and the parents in your policy? And if no, how would you ensure parental involvement?
We do have a family and community involvement policy, and it states specifically that all of our schools will work very diligently in involving our parents in what we do in our school district. Many of our schools are Title I schools, so there is federal legislation that says we have to have a parent involvement component in our school improvement plan, so that is there as well. But several of the things that we do to increase parent involvement in Clark County that we have done is that we have what we call a parent initiative, where we bring our parents together through a initiative where we go to our parents in our community. Sometimes our principals have those meetings in areas that are more familiar with our parents, rather than asking our parents come to us, so that we can increase more parent involvement. We have embraced the idea that increased parent involvement is a correlation to academic success. Many times, instead of asking the community to come to us or the parents, we go out to the parents. We have had parent meetings in our local churches. Some of our principals have gone out to the local restaurants like McDonald's, and we held meetings. We have just initiated in several of our schools where we call Parent and Teachers Talking Initiative, where the preaching committee actually facilitates that. They have a specific group of questions that they ask parents and teachers, and it is facilitated by an outside individual. And then we take that data, and the teachers and the parents and the school uses that to improve the parent involvement. We also are in the process of training, paying for training for teachers, for parents, two parents from each one of the schools in our school district that will go through the Pritchett Committee's SIPL training, where we involve parents with that training, and hopefully what those parents will do will come back and that they will initiate what we call trainers of trainers, and we will build a cadre of parents that will help us to initiate the goals and objectives that we have for our school system. But those are the kinds of things that we're doing with parent involvement. We have a parent portal, and our goal is that we will increase the number of parents that are using the parent portal to find out what's going on with their students. Many of you may be familiar with Parent Portal, but the parents have an opportunity to get real-time current information about what's going on with their students. To me, that's parent involvement. For instance, if you want to find out what is going on in your student's science class, you go into Parent Portal and you can find out what their attendance is in that class. You can find out if there have been any behavior issues with your students, and you can find out whether or not they've turned in all their science assignments. And if not, then that's a great opportunity for parents to have real instant dialogue with their students to say, you didn't turn in that science assignment. They can email the teachers immediately and say, this assignment will be in the next day. So those are parent involvement initiatives that we sometimes don't think are in parent involvement, but they are. So those are things that we're addressing in Clark County.
Tell us your experience in closing or narrowing the achievement gap.
We know that the achievement gap is a national issue as well as a state issue. And I have addressed this question most of the day, and one of the things that I have said to our constituency is that we know that there are varied academic performances among students in schools across this county. We know also that there are schools in this district that have closed achievement gaps. So the key is that we know that it can be done. And we know that we can close gaps with students in poverty. We know that we can close gaps with students with disabilities. We know we can close gaps with students of different races. So I would like to say that we cannot allow race and poverty, race and poverty are not destiny. So we have to embrace the fact that it can happen, and then we have to have a belief system that we can do something different. So what we have done is we have looked at individual students across our district. We have what we call monthly progress monitoring meetings, and we assess whether or not these particular student groups have met the standards that have been taught. If those standards have not been mastered by those individual student groups, then, and our principals actually came up with this, then they implement reteaching those particular standards. So the question is to us, is that not what teaching is all about? We teach so the students can master the standard. If they have not met it yet, then we have to provide an opportunity for them to meet it. So we reteach the content. We provide extended learning time. Sometimes we use direct teaching. We use interventions. And then we monitor whether or not those interventions have been implemented with fidelity. And then we reevaluate the students to see if they're there yet. And if they are not, then we continue to do some things differently. If they are, then we have done what we were set out to do. So you have to look at individual students, and we have to put a name with a face. It's not just numbers of students that are not there yet. And we do flexible grouping. We talk about what can we do as a team. And the last question I ask at the monitoring meetings to my principals is, what can I do or what can we do to support you in ensuring that the kids are meeting the standards? So I think you have to have very specific strategies to close the achievement gap.
Let's talk a little bit about accountability and testing. How do you plan on communicating the value of assessment and accountability, and how do you respond to questions about teaching to the test or overemphasis on teaching?
I think that sometimes when we talk about overemphasizing testing and teaching to the test, that a lot of it is miscommunication. Actually, the goal in the state of Kentucky is to teach the content standards, and they have been aligned with national standards. They have been aligned with the content that we assess. It behooves our teachers to teach the content that is going to be assessed. And we have 176 days that we instruct students. At the end of that 176 days, then we assess to see if what we did worked. So I think that many of our community members, they want accountability, and they want to know if what we did for those 176 days, if it actually worked. So to me, that's the accountability that I think that our community should have and that we owe them. So one of the things that has been a resounding, I think, a mindset across the state, that we test too much. But I think because that has been communicated, that it has been legislated for 2011-2012, that we will only have testing the last 14 days of the school year, and that includes if you have to tack on those 10 days because of snow. And also the legislation also states that you can only assess 5 of those 14 days. So I think that's going to take some of that conversation off the table.